Joe Biden is the projected winner of the presidential election. The Associated Press called the race yesterday after he took both Pennsylvania and Nevada.
Now, President Trump's legal team not backing down, though. They filed lawsuits, and they've also called for recounts. We're going to break down the rules regarding that process in some of the key states.
So first, let's take a look at Georgia. Their state law does not require an automatic recount. The deadline to request one is 2 business days after counties certify the vote. The margin must be half a percentage point or less in order to have a recount. If a recount is approved, there is no set deadline for completion, and right now Joe Biden leads in Georgia by just under 0.2%.
All right, let's go to Michigan now. There will be an automatic recount if the difference in the race is 2,000 votes or less. The deadline to request a recount is 2 days of the canvass. There's not a required margin in order to have a recount, and there's also no set limit for when it has to be completed. But Joe Biden currently leads in Michigan by more than 100,000 votes.
Meantime, Nevada also does not have an automatic recount rule. Party officials can request a recount in the 3 days after the statewide vote canvass. Recounts must be finished in 10 business days. Biden leads there by more than 30,000 votes.
All right, moving on to North Carolina. Automatic recounts are not required. The deadline to request one is 2 business days after the canvass, but in order to have a recount, the margin must be half a percentage point or 10,000 votes. President Trump leads in that state by more than 40,000 votes.
All right, let's head to Pennsylvania. It does have an automatic recount if the race falls within half a percentage point, which is not the case right now. The deadline to request is 5 days after the unofficial canvass, and if there is an automatic recount, it must be finished in 3 weeks. But if one party requests a recount, there is no set deadline.
Finally, in Wisconsin, there's not an automatic recount. Parties can request one within 24 hours of the canvass, but only if the margin is less than 1% in a race of more than 4,000 votes. The deadline for completion, 13 days. Biden leads in Wisconsin by more than 1%.